All right, hi. Chapter 3, subject area 12. We're on skill level 3. Skill level 3, subject area. Subject area 12, directing pipeline operations, and then we move on to skill level 4 and 5. Subject Area 12, directing pipeline operations. Given the requirement to maintain the pipeline and pumping operations on a 24-hour basis on the inland petroleum distribution system in the field environment, personnel and materials required to perform the task, 8 military occupational specialists of the MOS, qualified N2F soldiers, daily pumping order, pumping station, manifold system, protective, personal protective equipment, material safety data sheets, risk management procedures, communication equipment, facility response plan, spill prevention, control countermeasures, oil discharge, contingency plan, if and required, unit standing authorization procedure, on petroleum products and full access to all reference materials. Direct petroleum pipeline pumping station operations without damaging equipment, commingling with products, injuring personnel, or polluting the environment. Failure to performance steps. Danger. Failure to perform the task correctly may result in damage to equipment or injury or death to personnel. Apply risk management procedure. Understanding the implementation of risk management process, risk control, commanded guidance during the higher headquarters, assess variable hazards, continuous report risk and risk reduction measures as appropriate to the chain of command. Monitor, evaluation, execution risk and incorporate after-action reviews (AARs) to implement environmental stewardship measures according to Critical Task 101-92F-3312. Conduct briefing, ensure personnel knowledge of concept of operation in accordance with the operation orders or unit standing operation procedures. Specific guideline for the pertaining to the task mission. Ensure personnel understand the mission and their task at hand. Individual task or specific role of every personnel to accomplish the mission. Collective task if the group needs to perform to support the mission. Spot B. Explain the degree of the risk involved with the personnel needs to be aware of, stress safety, and the personnel to incorporate throughout operations. Spill prevention, countermeasures, hazardous waste and hazardous material management, and environmental hazards. Discuss specific guidelines that pertain to petroleum pipeline pumping station operations. Receiving, issuing product of the pipeline, tactical petroleum terminal, TPT. Specifically procedures to the handling product interface. Reporting the procedures, communication of the procedure, communicating of the procedures. 4. Conduct pre-combat checks and pre-combat inspections. Personal uniform equipment for the serviceability in conformity with the mission, weather, or environment. B. Check the appropriate personnel protective equipment is handled, the operator's license, vehicle equipment is dispatched, preventive maintenance check service. We'll check the equipment inventory to ensure the component parts or systems are complete. We'll check all reference materials of the AR field manual, technical manual, standing operation procedures, and so on. Check the communication equipment, personal knowledge on the current communication signal operation instructions. 5. Maintain communications with lower, higher echelon, render the reports are required. 6. Identify cross-training and cross-training for all personnel to include licensing for the section equipment. 7. Project maintenance and repair requirements. 8. Ensure personnel knowledge or operate on current operations, establish training if needed. 9. Coordinate with the product control section of the daily pumping order 24 hours in advance of operation. 10. Establish the work schedules of assigned duties. 11. Issue the daily pumping orders to the subordinates. Schedule the lining, sampling, testing during the pumping operations. 13. Establish pipeline petroleum force. 14. Project maintenance repair requirements. 16. Conduct fire drills. 16. Employ quality surveillance measures during the pumping operations. 17. Observe authorization for safety environmental infractions. Stop operations immediately for if any of the violations are found, correcting them. 18. Maintain communication chain of command. Render the status of reports as required by the unit policy. 19. Maintain records and report records according to the standard authorization procedure. Evaluation preparation, standard C task conditions and standards. 11.1 performance measures. 1. Applied risk management procedure. 2. Environmental stewardship measures according to critical task 101-92F-3312. 3. Conduct briefing and ensure primary personnel knowledge of the concept operation in accordance with the authorization order or standing authorization procedure, specific guideline to that pertinent task on the mission. Conduct the pre-combat checks and pre-combat inspections. 5. Maintain communications with the lower, higher echelon, rendering of the reports as required. 6. Identify training of the cross-training for all personnel to include the licensing for the section equipment. 7. Projected maintenance and repair requirements. 8. Ensure personnel knowledge on current operations. Establish training as needed, go or no-go. 9. Coordinate with the product control section of the daily pumping order 24 hours in advance of the operation. 10. Establish work schedule and assign duties. employees. 11. Issue daily pumping orders to subordinates. 12. Schedule lining, sampling, testing during the pumping operations. 13. Establish pipeline patrol force. 14. Projected maintenance repair requirements. 15. Conducted fire drills. 16. Employed quality surveillance pressures during the pumping operations. 17. Observed operations for any of the safety environmental infractions. Stop operations immediately if violations are found and correct them. 18. Maintain communication with the chain of command. Random status report as required by the unit and policy. 19. Maintain records and reports according to standard operation procedures. Soldier goes if the soldier scores a go, then it is passed. If the soldier scores a no go, it is failed. If the scores no go, then it is shown done wrong and how to do it correct. Field manuals required of 1067-1 TA and PAM related is 758, Field Manual 3112, 3104, Field Manual 542, TM 10 4320, 30710, TM 5 4320, 30510. Direct installation of petroleum valves and pipeline section. Given the requirement to direct the installation, maintenance of an operational inland petroleum distribution system, and the field environmental personnel materials required to perform the task, 8 military occupational specialists of the qualified in the N2F soldier, pre-selected pipeline hoses, line trace, unit standing of the operation procedure, facility response plan, and a spill prevention control countermeasures, oil discharge contingency plan, if it is required, and risk management proceeds, applicable material safety data sheets, all necessary tool and equipment, full access all reference materials, direct safe maintenance installation, monitoring petroleum pipeline section, ensuring fuel leaks and are detected by the repairs and made without injury, personnel damage to the equipment, of the pollution of the environment. Performance steps. Warning: a constant fire hazard or explosion exists on a pipeline because of the fuels. Repair teams should have the explosive meter to determine how the explosive toxic in the area is before entering it. When disconnecting the pipeline to be replaced damaged pipes and the fittings. When the line breaks occurs, immediately shut down the line and close the closest block valves on each side of the break to capture as much fuel as possible before becoming a fire hazard. Every opening could be a potential fire. Firefighting troops should be accompanying the repair crews on the major repair assignments. 1. Apply risk management procedure. Understand implementation of risk management procedure. Risk control command and the guidance directly by the headquarters. Assess variable hazards. Continuous risk. Report risk and risk reduction measures as appropriate for the chain of command. Monitoring, evaluation, execution risk controls incorporated into the after action reviews. Implement environmental stewardship measures according to the critical task 10192 F3312. Conduct briefings to ensure personnel knowledge of the concept operations in accordance with the operation orders. Standing operation procedures specific line that pertains to the task of the mission. A. Personal understanding of the mission and the task at hand. 1. The individual task specifically on every personnel to accomplish the mission. 2. Collective tasks of the group needed to perform the support mission. B. Explain the degree of risk involved that the personnel needs to be aware of. C. The stress safety personnel to incorporate throughout the operations. D. Spill preventive control measures. E. Hazardous waste materials and haste material management, environmental hazards. Also specific guidelines pertaining to the maintenance, installation, petroleum valves, and pipeline sections. 1. Procedures, temporary and permanent repairs. 2. Communication procedures. 3. Pipeline patrols. 4. Conduct pre-combat checks, pre-combat inspection personnel, uniforms, equipment, the serviceability and conformity with the mission. Check for appropriate personnel protective equipment is on hand. Check the operator license, dispatch, preventive maintenance, check services of order. D. Check the applicable reference materials, insurance, they are on hand. E. Inspect communication equipment, personal knowledge of the communication procedures, operation instructions. 5. Maintain communications with lower, higher echelon, rendering the reports as required. And 6. Identify training, cross-training for all performing, sample, engaging. 7. Project maintenance and repair requirements. 8. Coordinated shutdown of the pipeline to issue new sections of the pipe, replacing the valve as needed. 9. Ensure the pipeline sections are evacuated in environmentally safe manner. Dispose of the fuel properly in accordance with the applicable environmental law regulations. Ensure proper testing procedures are conducted with the pipeline in accordance with the unit tactical standing authorization procedure. Ensure the following prior to the testing pipeline. Test the communication system. Check the accuracy of all gauges. Make sure there are enough repair clamps are on hand to move in firefighting equipment. Make sure tank vehicle drums are necessary in the section of the line that has to be drained. Make sure shovels and materials to dig line the pipe are tested site in their case that they are spilled. 7. Divide the pipeline into two test sections. B. When performing the pipeline test for the fuel, consider the test section should be outside the city heavily populated area. Each building within 300 feet of the test section should be empty of the people. The test section should be watched by patrol during the test. The people running the test should be in constant contact with the patrol. The fuel should be used. It should be a low-grade, non-critical fuel that does not vaporize quickly. 11. Observe the operations of the safety environmental infractions, take the appropriate actions, and mediate if any of the violations are discovered to correct them. Maintain the records and reports according to the standard operation procedures. See task conditions and control task conditions and standards. 1. Applied risk management procedure, go or no go. These performance are goes or no go. 2. The employed environmental stewardship measures according to the critical task 101 92 F 3312. Conducting briefings, ensured personnel of knowledgeable concept of operations. 14. Conduct pre-combat checks, pre-combat inspections, maintain communication with the lower, higher echelon rendered reports. 6. Identify training and cross-training of all personnel performing the sample, engaging projected maintenance and repair requirements, coordinate with the shutdown pipeline to install new sections of the pipe and replace the valves as needed. Ensure pipeline sections are evacuated as in an environmental safe manner. Dispose of fuel properly in accordance with the applicable environmental laws and regulations. 10. Ensure proper testing of the procedures conducting on a pipeline in accordance with the unit tactical standard operation procedure. Observed operation safety environmental infractions. 12. Maintain records of reports according to the unit standardization procedure. Score go if it's passed, soldier no go if it's failed. The soldier's no go was done wrong and how to do it correctly. Field Manual 1067-1, Field Manual 548-2, DAPAM 758, Field Manual 3112, 3104. Direct transfer operation 101 92 F 3316. Given the requirement to direct the tank of the farm, the manifold valves to set up the transfer operation and the field environmental personnel material required to perform the task. 8 military occupational specialists in operating petroleum terminal. Transfer orders, personal protective equipment, risk management procedure, applicable material safety data sheets, communication equipment facility response plan, spill prevention control countermeasure plan, oil discharge contingency plan, outstanding authorization procedures. DA form 27651 request of issue and return, and DA Form 3643 daily issue petroleum products, DA Form 3644 monthly abstract issues of the petroleum products and operating issues, DA Form 4786 petroleum products tanker farm intake record, DA Form 5463 petroleum product tanker farm outturn record, DA Form 5464 petroleum products pipeline leakage report, DOD Form 250 material inspection receiving report, or DOD Form 251 tanker barge material inspection receiving report, full access of all reference and materials. Direct transfer operation terminal in accordance with the pumping order and authorization order without injury and personnel to damage the equipment, pollution, and the environment. Performance steps. Danger. Failure to perform the task correctly may result in damage to the equipment or injury or to death of personnel. Apply risk management procedure. Understand implementation risk management process, risk control, command, guidance directed from the higher headquarters. Assess variable hazards, continuous risk, report risk reductions, and measures are appropriate to the chain of command. Monitor, evaluate, execution of risk controls, and incorporate after action reviews, AARs. Implementation environmental stewardship measured according to critical task 101 92 at 3312. Conduct briefing to ensure the personnel have the knowledge of the concept of operation in accordance to the operation order within unit standard operation procedures and specific guidelines that pertain to task personnel. Ensure the personnel understand the mission and task at hand, one individual task and specific role of every personnel to accomplish the mission, two collective tasks of the group with the needs to perform the support the mission. Explain the degree of the risk involved with the personnel needs to be aware of. C. Stress the safety of the personnel to incorporate throughout the operations. D. Spill prevention, control, countermeasures, hazards, waste material management, environmental hazards. Discuss specific guidelines that pertain to the transfer authorization, daily pumping orders, typing the transfer, receiving from the pipeline issuing to the pipeline, loading, unloading tanker barges, rail tanker cars, and tanker trucks in terminal. Maintaining record reports, communication, 5, sampling procedures, process records, and reports of accountability product. Conduct pre-combat checks and pre-combat inspections. Ensure personal knowledge of the entire system of the procedure of the transfer operation. Direct the transfer operation according to the transfer operation standing authorization procedure, Field Manual 1067-1, Military Handbook 1022A, Military Handbook 3004A, following the general operating rules and procedures according to Field Manual 1067-1, process records reports as required as standard authorization procedure. There are many documents accounting for the receipt, issue, and the stock on the hand within the petroleum facilities. DA Form 3643, DA Form 3644, DA Form 27651, DA Form 4786, DA Form 5463R, DA Form 5464R, DOD Form 250, 251. Illustrations procedure. The completing of the forms can be found in AR 710-21 and DOD issuance 4140-25M. Maintain Class 3 status report. Supply the point of number, date, report period, report receipt of the product, pipe type, and into the terminal. Total amount of the product on the hand is by the type of the storage tanks and tank vehicles, barges, packages at the end of each period. Total ullage available for the specific guideline task and designation at the end of the period, and information on the unusable storage. Location causes leaks, ruptures, and other damage, and other reasons for unusable storage places, and incapacitated checks or ullage due to the maintenance of that are all reported. Establish requirements of the issue by type of the next 24-hour period. Maintain daily terminal inventory report, military inventory and the short tankage, commercial inventory and short tankage allocated by the military use, usable inventory aboard floating storage, daily supply on hand, usable inventory of the porter tankers being discharged and awaiting discharge. 7. Direct control of flow of the product. Processing requirements of the bulk Class 3 submitted to the company for each of the district supervised evaluates necessary for the transportation of the pipeline within the district supervised. Ensure that the site strict account is kept with all the products and systems. D. Process request for the issue or the receipt for each of the directors supervised and the reacts to them, petroleum operation officer, petroleum dispatch supervisor. Maintain communications with the battalion headquarters. Maintain communication with the pump and terminal attendants. Schedule inventories that maintain radio net. Direct pressure testing of the pipeline, hose line, and to locate the leaks. Issuing shutdown procedures when necessary. Perform consumption graphs. Prepare monthly pipeline schedules. Prepare daily pumping schedules once a week in advance of the pumping. Prepare daily pumping order. Relay the pumping order adjustment to the operating platoon's headquarters. Assign the batching number to the product when it's put on the line. Monitor hourly pumping delivery. The reports adhere to the daily pumping order. Forward daily pumping delivery report, battalion dispatch and petroleum operations branch. Maintain the DA Form 1594 daily staff journal duties officer log. 8. Project maintenance and repair requirements. 9. Maintain communications with the chain command, rendering transfer status reports as required of the unit policy and procedures. Supervisor, observe operation safety, environmental infractions, stop operations immediately if the validation occurs, and take appropriate actions. Maintain records of reports according to standard authorization procedures. Evaluation preparation and C task and condition standards. 1. Applied risk management procedures. 2. Implemented environmental stewardship measures according to critical task 101-92F 3312. 3. Conduct briefing ensured personnel is knowledgeable concept of operations. 4. Conduct pre-combat checks and check pre-combat inspections. 5. Ensure personnel were knowledgeable on entire system procedures for the transfer operation. 6. Directed transfer operations according to the transfer order, the standard authorization field manual 1067-1, military handbook 1022A, military standard 3004A. Directed control flow product, the project maintenance and the repair requirements. 9. Maintain communications of the chain of command and render the transfer status reports as required by the unit policy procedures to the supervisor. 10. Observed operation safely, environmental infractions, stopped operations immediately if the violations occurred, and locate appropriate actions. 11. Maintain records and reports according to standard authorization procedure. Score a go if the performance is measured as passed. Score the soldier no-go if it has failed. If the score is no-go, then it should show what was done wrong and how to do it correctly. DA Form 27651, DA Form 3643, 3644, 4786, 5463R, 5464R, DOD Form 250 and 251, DOD issues 4140-25M, Field Manual 1067-1, Military Standard 3004A, AR 201, DAPAM 710-2, Field Manual 114, Field Manual 3112, 3104, Military Handbook 1022A, Technical Manual TN 4210, 235-13, TM 10 43 20 30710, TM 5 38 35 22 0 13, and PTM 5 43 20 305 10. I'm going to take a break for a second. Back again, Direct Tactical Petroleum Terminal. Direct Tactical Petroleum Terminal operations. Given the requirements to direct the assembly operation of the Tactical Petroleum Terminal system in the field, environmental personnel material required to perform the task. 43 military occupational specialists qualified in 92F soldier transporting equipment primary components of the Tactical Petroleum Terminal, which consists of 3 full units, tanker farm assembly with 2 5,000-barrel fabric tanks each, a tanker truck for seat manifold, a field dispensing assembly, a transfer hose line assembly, 6 fire suppression assemblies, an optical tank configuration, a fuel unit support assembly, petroleum products communication equipment, risk management procedures, material safety data sheets, protective personnel equipment, communication equipment, fire extinguisher, spill kit, contamination, cleanup and equipment, facility response plan, spill prevention control countermeasure plan, an oil discharge contingency plan, an oil written operation order with unit standing authorization procedures at the Tactical Petroleum Terminal operations daily pumping order DA form 27651, receipt of the issuing turn in DA Form 3643, daily issue of petroleum products, DA Form 3644, monthly abstract issues of petroleum products operation supplies, DA Form 3857, commercial deliveries or petroleum product checklist, DA Form 4193, petroleum product pump station hourly operations, DA Form 4786, petroleum product tanks farm intake record, DA Form 5463, petroleum product tank farm outturn record, DA Form 5464, petroleum products pipeline leakage report, the Department of Defense, DO 250 petroleum material inspection receiving report, the Department of Defense 251 tanker barge and material inspection receiving report, full access to all reference material. Direct unpacking assembly operation operated preventive maintenance check services full accountability quality surveillance assembly of the Tactical Petroleum Terminal without injury personnel damage to the equipment pollution of the environment. That is the standards. Performance steps. Apply the risk management procedure, understand the implementation of risk management process, risk control command, guidance directed by the higher headquarters, success variable hazard, continuous report risk reduction measures appropriate to the chain of command, monitor, evaluate, execution of the risk control incorporated with after action reviews, ARs. 2. Implement environmental stewardship measured according to critical CADAS 10192F 3312. Conduct briefing ensuring personnel knowledge and concept operation in accordance with the operation orders of the standard authorization procedures, specific guidelines that pertain to the task, mission, ensure personnel understanding of the mission, task at hand, individual task, and specific role of every personnel to accomplish the mission. 2. Collective task with the group needs to perform the support of the mission. B. Explain degree of the risk involved with the personnel needed to be aware of. C. Stress the safety of the personnel to incorporate throughout the operations. D. Spill prevention control measures. E. Hazardous waste hazard material management and environmental hazards. 5. Discuss specific guidelines that pertain to the Tactical Petroleum Terminal. Generally, operating rules, receiving, issue, intra-terminal transfer records and reports, transfer the procedures to and from the pipeline, specifically proceeded to the handling of the product of the interface, tanker, truck, receipt, manifold procedures, fuel dispensing procedures, communication procedures, performance steps, maintenance records, accountability of the product pumping operations and fire drills, conduct pre-combat checks and combination inspections. A. Inspect personnel, uniforms, equipment, serviceability in conformity with the missions, weather, environmental. Check the appropriate personnel protective equipment is on hand. Check the appropriate license, dispatch, preventive maintenance check services. Check the equipment inventory to accomplish the components. Ensure the components and the parts and the systems are complete. complete. Check the reference materials are required of the technical manual, field manuals, standard operations, and so on are available. Check the filter effectiveness and test results. Ensure that it is current with the specifications. Check the communication equipment, personal knowledge of the communication procedures, and operation instruction. Maintain communications lower, higher echelon. Render the reports as required. Identify the training, cross-training of all the personnel to include the license of the section equipment. 7. Projection maintenance of the repair requirements. 8. Checks the site preparation of each work. Ensure the site of the grade may meet the drainage of the slow requirements. Verify the sharp objects that could damage the fabric tanks are removed from the prepared site. Direct cross construction of wooden supports to relieve the stress on the elbows of the fabric tank. Direct digging trenches of the firewalls to protect the storage from locations. 9. Direct setup of the tactical petroleum terminal components. Brief the team chiefs on their respective areas of responsible, such as the tanker truck, manifold, fuel dispensing assembly, or the switching manifold, the tanker farm assembly, the contaminated fuel module. Ensure the major end of the items in place with the first. Floodlight sets, tank pumps, and fire suppression units. C. Ensure components are offloaded near their respective sites. In place the components with the prepared sites according to the layout of the plant appropriate with the technical manuals. Inspect the tactical petroleum terminal prior to the purging into any system. Verify the fire extinguisher are placed in pumps and tanks and issuing points and receiving points. Inspecting the collapsible fabric tanks of the tier punctures and shelf life. Shelf the integrity of the height of the tank berms. Ensure the perm drain of the valve is closed. Check the floodlight locations operating the ground. Check the fabric closable tank layout of the connection. Check the pump locations operable, service, and grounding. Check the meter strain of the flow direction and grounding. Check the filter separator direction, testing adapter and installation and grounding. Check the hose line valves and fittings of the couplings closed, flange tights and valve packaging, gland tights, valves on operable position and closed. No sharp bends proper lay on the tank top, sandbags, or on the free ends of the bend subject to the whip or general condition of the hose line. Check the assembly and the operational location. Joint valve, tight valves closed, grounding, and ensure the fire suppression equipment is charged, ready to operate in proper location. Ensure safety or non-smoking signs are readable in proper location. Review the pressure test results, evidence of the corrective action. Ensure the road crossing protection culverts, suspension devices are in place as required. Ensure the range of the poles are installed properly with the cross cord at the current height. 16. Corrective painting. Ensure corrective painting is complete. 17. Ensure equipment identification marking is correct and adequate. Ensure the portable fuel testing kit intact. 19. Ensure operational areas are clean. 5. F. The corrective faults found in inspection that are re-inspected do not proceed the operation until the points are effective integrity, safety of the system are corrected. Direct tactical petroleum terminal operations. Process daily pumping order with the platoon leader. Inspect the empty tanks for the receiving product. Ensure the common lines for the flush with the same product before the tanking opening of the gauge. D. Start the stop of the operation slowly and carefully. E. Ensure the valves are opened closely and slowly pressure brought gradually. A gate valve must never be forced closed. A gate valve rising or non-rising stem is opened or closed. The wheel should be turned back at least 1/4 from full open or closed limit. This free wheel movement to show that the valve is not stuck. Monitor pressure gauges so that the working pressure is not exceeded. Ensure that during the continuous pumping operations, the tank should not be closed off until another tank is open. If the pipeline is not in use, tank valves will normally be closed except when they are needed to be left open to relieve the line pressure caused by the thermo expansion. Except the switch tanks, no more than one tank but must be open to line the system unnecessary. Ensure the flow into and out of the tank is verified as soon as possible after starting the operation. I. Direct the flow of the product diverted as necessary. J. Verify the water drained from the tank of the product has been timed settled. Ensure that when the issuing product is first in, first out policy issued. Old stock first. Ensure that the product are not mixed. Verify that the fuels are drawn and sampled. Disassemble the assembly. Dispensing the assembly. Once at each 4-hour operation, 3 checks of 15-minute intervals after filter separators at the first put in operation whenever there has been a filter charge in the upset operations. 2. Tank top Viva pumps. Once per day, whenever the suspicion contamination, whenever the particular tank module is to be transferred to another module in the tactical petroleum terminal, whenever the particular tank module is transferred to the associated pipeline, another tactical petroleum terminal, or another bulk movement. Tank bottom drain. Once per week, whenever the suspicion contamination by the water of other contaminants prior to the transportation tank contain continents elsewhere. Caution. Contaminated tank bottoms should be drawn off, disposed, and prior to the transferring of all tanks to another, the fuel dispensing or other associated pipeline. Using the no conditions should the tank's bottoms be dispensed to the other user vehicles. M. Ensure the performing internal transfers that the free bottom of the water is drawn off before the transfer. Prepare daily status reports. Conduct fire drills, maintain record reports, ensure communications between personnel and operation points in the system at all times. Ensure quality surveillance measures are followed according to standard operation procedure. Observe operations for the safety of the environmental of the violations. Take appropriate actions immediately if the violations occur to the correct problem. Ensure the maintenance is performed on the equipment according to Task 101, 92, 3302. Directing assembly of the the tactical petroleum terminal system. Ensure all equipment is inventory clean and stored in appropriate containers. Verify that all the equipment that is non-mission capable is replaced or fixed before the equipment is stored. Maintain listing of the components of each of the container is loaded. Maintain the records, reports, and according to standard operation procedures. See task condition standards. Apply risk management procedures as a performance measure if it's go or no go. Implement 2. Environmental stewardship according to critical task 101, 92, F 3312. Conducting briefing, ensuring personnel knowledge of concept of operations. Conducts the pre-combat checks and pre-combat inspections. 5. Maintain communication with the lower higher echelon, rendering reports as required. Identify training, the cross-training for all personnel to be included with licensing for sections equipment. Project maintenance and repair requirements check for the site preparation on earth work to directly set up the tactical petroleum terminal components. Directed tactical petroleum terminal operations. Ensured maintenance was performed on the equipment according to task 101, 92, F 3302. Directed assembly of the tactical petroleum terminal system. Maintain records reporting according to the standard operation procedures. Score a go if it passed, score no go if it fails. If there was a no go, show was done wrong and how to do it correctly. Pretty much all the same forms and related documents. Skill level 4. Controlling general petroleum operations.